So I do have sound. That's a bit. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's right. That is right. Good morning. So today we're just going to have a light stream about the ancient kingdom, and this stream is going to focus more about Emu and Luffy, what they have to bring for this story of One Piece, because this story is impactful when it comes to the past and the present. So just going to do a deep dive about the ancient kingdom, which is very, very much important in the One Piece world. So when you look at how things are going through One Piece, I'm just going to have a recap like of the One Piece that we know, not the flashbacks or not even the ancient kingdom, but we are just going to talk about the One Piece that we've seen, you see. So if you are with me on that, I'm just going to try and remind you of Water 7. So Water 7 is a company called Galilei, you know, and that company called Galilei, at first you thought it's just a company, nothing important, but day in, day out, it continued to give us a reality check, you know, because from being just a business of ship rides to being maybe founded by the giants of Elbaf, you know. It might happen that it is maybe made up of legends that were made up because of the ancient giants, which were the Galilee giants. So it so happens that the Galilee giants were a group of shipwrights. You know, so having a group of shipwrights makes so much, or to have such a legend, I really think that they went around the world and they actually changed the world. That's what I think of the Galilei, because I feel like they helped a lot of nations build or get better in a way, because you know that shipwrights can help you building house, or they can help you with buildings and everything. So if you look at Frankie is versed in everything almost, you know. Frankie is a jack of all trades when it comes to building, which is very nice to see. So this brings us to Water 7 in the first arcs of One Piece, you know, because Water 7 had a guy called Ice for Bag, or Ice for Brains, or something like that. But his name is Iceberg, you know, and Iceberg is the current mayor of Water 7. So Iceberg and Frankie were both raised by this guy called Tom. So Tom has a saying that when you do something, always do it with gusto. You know. So Tom is one of the most influential characters in the world of One Piece, because that man built a sea train or something like that. He built a train that moves on the ocean, you know, which is something that will revolutionize traveling when it comes to getting through islands. But we know that the saddest thing about the water train or something like that is that it doesn't travel all around the world, you know. And the world government killed Tom before he could finish his dream of connecting the world through his train, you know. So this has to show you that the One Piece has to do with something sort of traveling, and it's about traveling and a certain island that used to house all cultures. I know that the certain island that we are talking about is the ancient kingdom and is nowhere to be seen right now. But what if, like, there's this island that we know of, which is the one that is rumored to be the city of gold. So yes, the island of Skypiea, So before you get to Skypiea, I think it's Fulalead Island, whereby people just laugh at you. I think it's Mocktown. So the island of Mocktown, it shares the magnetism with Skypiea. So this has to show you that even an island, when it's broken down or when it's broken down, the other part or the other piece of the island can be found with navigational tools such as the log poles, because the log poles is how people discovered the Skypiea island after it disappeared. So this ancient kingdom theory is about to take a very, very deep dive, which I'm not even ready for myself, because the ancient kingdom at first, I really think that the ancient kingdom was a floating kingdom. You know, I think the ancient kingdom is the kingdom of dreams, because I really think that Vegapunk succeeded in creating a island of the future. You know, I know some people might think that Egghead Island is not close to the ancient kingdom, but Vegapunk managed to build something that floats, an island that floats. So Egghead is much of a unique feature, because it's either you can make an island float or you can make it fly. Of course, we know that making an island sink is quite difficult, or maybe it's unheard of, but you can only make an island float or make it fly. But we've seen that you are capable of controlling floating islands, like, because they're when Nami used to train, those old people in that Sky Island, they control it or they travel with it to different kinds of islands and then sell their weathering skills to them, which is pirating in a point, which is not bad. But they're just trying to evade the world government, you know. So this part of the ancient kingdom is really deep, because the ancient kingdom, I think, is the greatest treasure of all. Stay with me for a second, because if there is treasure such as the Pluton for crocodile, if treasure for Blackbeard is the world, if treasure for Buggy is really treasure, then what is treasure in the form of an ancient kingdom? Because if the world is going to sink as you know it, people will fight for the ancient kingdom once it comes to be. The ancient kingdom will play a very, very important role when it comes to the final war or to the great war. Because the ancient kingdom is the only way whereby we can save people from the disaster that's coming. A very huge disaster is coming in One Piece, and it's coming in a form of war, which is very funny, because even Vegapunk said something. Vegapunk said that the rise in sea levels is not due to natural causes. No, the rise in sea levels was caused by what? By artificial means, or it was man-made. So let me close this few tabs. So you have to remember that Vegapunk has uncovered most of the ancient kingdom, and I really think that the One Piece world is not that far off when it comes to making or building their ancient kingdom. You know? So there would be two options. The two options are find the ancient kingdom, or just find the ancient kingdom or build it. But there is no time to build the ancient kingdom, especially knowing that Imu is on the move. You know, more than ever, Imu has been, and Imu has taken the initiative for the first time. We've never seen Imu make a move or make any steps to take over the world or to destroy the world. But seeing Imu in Elbaf, it really shows that Imu is making his or her move. So this makes me think that what if the world is not that far off in repairing the ancient kingdom? Because I know that the ancient kingdom will need different things, If it is sunken and it's underground, we will need characters like Iceberg to actually pull up the kingdom, because there must be a way to bring back the kingdom back to the surface. There has to be a way to, if the kingdom is sunken below, like Vegapunk has said, the kingdom needs to float again. There has to be a way whereby the kingdom has to float. That's why I think personally that the ancient kingdom wasn't fully destroyed. When the scholars maybe, or the people who were living in the ancient kingdom, when they saw that the island was about to get destroyed, what if they sunk themselves together with the island? I know this might sound crazy, but the people of O'Hara have done the same thing. We've seen this type of behavior from the people of O'Hara. You know, the scholars of O'Hara saved the books instead of saving their own lives. So, what if not everyone tried to run away when there was war in the ancient kingdom, but what if some people tried to save the kingdom by sinking it? And if the kingdom is naturally buoyant, or it was built to float, I do believe that it can float again, but it will need characters like Iceberg to come and make sure that it fully floats. Even the people who are from Vegapunk's island, the people who specialize, maybe they don't specialize, but they've been working on making an artificial heater or artificial weathering system. That will be needed in the ancient kingdom, and thank God that Vegapunk is still alive. You know, everything would have gone south if Vegapunk wasn't there. But since we know that believes in science, Vegapunk believes in science, and through the flashback, I think we saw different kinds of scientists, because we saw people who specialize in medicine. That's why Chopper was training. We saw people who specialize in the weather. That's this guy Pia Nami went through. And then we saw like Frankie and Vegapunk's artificial heating system. I think those three, and Nico Robin and the Revolutionaries, I think those will play the most important role when it comes to the ancient kingdom, because even though Dragon is worried about buildings that are high, buildings of high, high, whatever, but height is not the importance right now. Can something float at the end of the day? Because I do understand that Vegapunk is a cloud machine that can just create artificial clouds where people can go and live in. But we need to deploy those artificial clouds or artificial sky islands immediately. And we need to save, let me not say we, but if Luffy and the gang will have a kingdom, or Blackbeard will have a kingdom to fight for, we need to save everyone in the One Piece world. So this brings the question that where is the ancient kingdom? In which part of the ocean is the ancient kingdom? Is it in the south part of of the One Piece world? Is it the west, the north blue, or the east blue? But the most important thing is that the One Piece, which is the ancient kingdom, needs to be found before the war happens. So you need to ask yourself which characters are greedy enough to disregard a fight just to get the island, because the island is the most important thing to ever exist. Like, is there a need for you to fight a war if there is no one to fight for? It doesn't make sense at all. It really doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But Iceberg, like characters like Iceberg, you know, Iceberg is trying to build an island that can float. As much as an island that can float will be important, but Water 7 cannot take care of everyone, and it cannot feed everyone. It is quite impossible. But if you have a island that can be used as a central point of the world, because we saw how everybody was helping Elbaf when they were facing shortages and food supplies. everyone just came to the island to deliver supplies. So even though the ancient kingdom won't be able to produce enough food to survive on its own, but I think there will be some people to help out if the entire of the world isn't sound, because every every type of building the world government is building right now, it won't be enough to do anything. No type of structure in the One Piece world can save as many people as the ancient kingdom. The ancient kingdom is just a dream even for me right now. Because when you look at it, Luffy is a guy that would have one of the would want to have one of the greatest parties ever. So I really think that Emo also is looking for the ancient kingdom. So let's have this for let me do this deep dive for a second. So the only reason why the world sank the ancient kingdom is because Emu wanted the kingdom. And Emu, I think, almost had control of the kingdom. But if Emu had the ancient kingdom, then he could sink anyone and everyone in the world. I really think that Emu just wanted the ancient kingdom because it had the tools to survive even if there aren't other islands. So I think that the ancient kingdom is just yo Oratil, how are you? How are you? I think that the ancient kingdom was self-sufficient. It was just a kingdom that can fully operate on its own. And that's why Emu wanted control of that kingdom. There is no reason for the ancient kingdom to just sink. There's no way. So there might be a way that everything or the machines that were keeping the island floating, they were just switched off. You know, what if the mother flame is still burning inside the ancient kingdom? What if the ancient kingdom still possesses free energy and like forever lasting energy, even though it's under the ocean? Because we saw, I really saw that the mother flame that or the artificial flame that Vegapunk created, it was burning under the underwater. You know, the eternal flame which Vegapunk built, it was burning underwater. So if the ancient kingdom is powered by that flame, the mother flame, the flame, I really think that the ancient kingdom still has energy to operate. So if Imo had the ancient kingdom and then he could use the ancient weapons to sink everyone else. Hi, Cosmo G. How are you, G? How are you? It's been a while since anyone called me night. It's been a while. So I really think that people like Iceberg will play a very important role in making the ancient kingdom float again. The ancient kingdom needs to float again and it needs to have a weathering system that will take care of different kinds of cultures and races. You know, the ancient kingdom will be a very much paradox because how can everyone live and survive under one umbrella? I know that my thumbnail is the current representation of the ancient kingdom, but we still have no confirmation if that's how the island really looks like. The island will be a very, very big mystery, and I think that everyone made a wrong move, especially Roger and Rox. They really fucked up when it came to the ancient kingdom. Because I really understand that maybe ancient weapons are really important, but firstly we need to find the ancient kingdom because even if we use the great ship now and collect everyone in the One Piece world, you can use the ship and collect each and every person who's still alive, let's say in that moment. And then where will they go? Where will these people go? Because it is quite shocking at how the world is. is shaped around the words, And I also had a serious question in a few days ago that okay, when we go to the new world, you know, we go under the water. Okay, so I understand that the new world is under the water. So is the new world built by the rising sea levels? You know, is the new world a result of the sunken kingdoms? Because some kingdoms do exist in the new world, and then how did they come about? Were those ancient kingdoms too? You know, because those kingdoms in the new world, dog, they have something funny about them, and the fact that no one in the world government is taking part or is controlling the new world is just fun, because the new world is just ruled by pirates at this point. The new world is ruled by the four emperors of the One Piece world. So does Imo disregard the new world because she knows or he knows that he is going to sink the world even higher? Like what made the new world? Like how did the oceans in the new world survive? Or how did the formation in the of new oceans happen in the new world? Because it is quite shocking to me how people live in the new world and then no one begs to question the no one asks the important question, how did these islands get here, or how did this new world get formed? So the new world will play a very important role when it comes to the ancient kingdom, because I really think that the kingdoms that survived or the cultures that survived. So obvious, what we know is that the world government was found after the 20 kingdoms came together to defeat the ancient kingdom, and then they agreed to form the world government and become celestials. And Imu undercover became king of the world. Okay, so with this result, we do understand that this happened. It happened like each and everyone formed the the world government that exists right now. But there are way more nations that have been wiped out of the history. We have a lot of nations and races that were wiped out of the world, especially when you look at maybe people like Rox Dizzyback. The lineage of Rox Dizzyback was buried underneath. So even though the world government became the kings or they won the war, but the war is still ongoing even today. Is it a theory, or do we know what that Joyboy is from the ancient kingdom? I think that Vegapunk confirmed that Joyboy is from the ancient kingdom. Im confirmed the fact that Joyboy is from the ancient kingdom. So this is quite a tricky situation that we are in, because what we know of the One Piece world is written by the world government. You know, the world government control our narrative of the One Piece world, and the more we know about Imu and the celestial dragons, is the more we find out that maybe things aren't the way we think they are. That is why I think the rock situation is quite one of the most. It's Harold's blunder. I would say that. I would say that Rock's Dizzy Pack falls under Harold's blunder or something like that, because in the great scheme of things, there are always things that fight against the world government. The world government has tried to take over the world fully a dozen of times. Like people like the emperors come and just stand in their way. Okay, so by that time, devil fruits existed because Nika's power comes through the gum gum fruit. Yes. So by the time of the ancient kingdom, devil fruits were already there, because Joy Boy used to have. Okay, Joy Boy. We don't know if Joy Boy looks like Luffy, but The fact that Joy Boy's heartbeat sounds like Gear 5 Luffy, we know for a fact that there is a link between Joy Boy and Luffy through the Gear 5. So I really think that even the devil fruits might have also played a role in what is happening right now. What if Emu isn't evil as we think she is? What if Emu is controlled by her mythical devil fruit? Because at the end of the day, what Emu is doing is not humanly, or is not even, it's just a dream what Emu can do. What if Emu is just being controlled by her devil fruit at this point? What if Emu of House Nerona has lost control of her will because of her devil fruit? Because we heard what Shaka said, that Rob Lucci must be strong to control the animal instincts of his devil fruit. If Blackbeard was was brought about, or if Blackbeard was attracted to the Yami Yami no Mi because of its evil, so do we think that the Yami Yami no Mi controls Blackbeard at certain times, or does Blackbeard have full control of the Yami Yami no Mi? I think it's safe to assume that Joyboy awakened the Gum fruit because Zou and the robot called Luffy Joyboy. Yes, it is. It is confirmed at this point that Luffy is Joyboy. Not even Joyboy, but Luffy reminds these ancient figures of Joyboy. As much as Luffy reminds these people of who of Roger. Some people when they see Luffy, they think this is Roger. So at this point you have to question things and be like, okay, so if Joy Boy's will is living through Luffy, whose will is living through Emu? Because Emu can't be the first user of her devil fruit. It's quite impossible because I think the 20 Kingdoms stole the ancient weapons from the ancient kingdoms, and that was the reason they lost. So I think the ancient kingdom lost the war when the ancient weapon were used already. You know, the ancient kingdom created. I think the ancient kingdom had a guy like Frank. Someone who used to create weapons, and people would warn him and be like, "Hey, yo, dog, your weapons cause destruction in this world." And the guy was like, "But it's just weapons. At the end of the day, it's the person who uses them who decides." I really think that a dumb guy like Frank used to exist back then, who just created these devastating weapons because he or she just loved creating weapons, or they were just a shipwright back then. And then when this weapon got into the hands of the wrong people, then the world, what it is, the water levels in the One Piece world rose. you know. And then when the water levels were rising in the One Piece world, because you have to remember that they didn't rise only with 2 meters or something like that. Nah, dog. They rose with 28 meters. You know, the water levels rose 28 meters up there. So by then the ancient kingdom might have lost because I think the ancient kingdom depended on other islands that surrounded it. You know, I think the islands that surrounded the ancient kingdom were very important when it comes to keeping the ancient kingdom floating. Keeping them with enough food. Bringing them enough information, because the information around the world used to change a lot of times. So the ancient kingdom must have found out that people have been using these weapons to sink these kingdoms. I say this because Vegapunk based a lot of his work on findings from the ancient kingdom. Mhm. So how and who created the ancient weapons of the 20 kingdoms? I think it's a character like Frank. To answer you honest, because I don't think anyone in the ancient kingdom or the ancient civilization had reasons to build weapons. I think that the ancient kingdom was quite a peaceful world back then, you know. And then someone like Frank, because do you remember when Frankie used to create weapons and then Iceberg used to warn him that, hey, Frankie, don't build weapons because one day they will hurt people. And then Frankie was like, nah, Dad. At the end of the day, these are just weapons, you know. The people who use them decide the fate of a weapon. And then what happened? Like thieves stole those weapons that Frankie built, and then they used them to destroy or to attack the island. At the end of the day, who was blamed? It was Tom that was blamed, and then Tom was executed for what Frankie did. You know, so you have to understand that whatever happens right now in One Piece surely has happened before. You know, I really think that a character like Frankie existed back then because Frankie learned the hard way to stop creating the weapons. Because even though Frankie loves creating weapons, why hasn't Frankie built the Pluton? I know that he or she needs Nico Robin, but you can see that Frankie didn't even try to build the Pluton, even though he knew the blueprints of the ancient weapon. But Frankie didn't even try to build the ancient weapon Pluton. So he learned the hard way. He really learned the hard way. I think the 20 Kingdoms stole the weapons, or at least one of the ancient kingdom. Or never mind, the ancient giants built the Pluton. Yes, the ancient giants built the Plutons, but I really think that the idea that you had that someone in the 20 kingdoms stole the ancient weapon, I think it's true, especially with Emu. You know, I don't think Emu is having her way with life. You know, I really think that Emu is also a soul trapped by the devil fruit. You know, Frankie has the blueprints of the Pluton memorized. Yeah, dog. Frankie has the blueprints of the Pluton memorized, but he's not trying to build the Pluton. You know, you can tell by the way he's even asking Luffy if he wants the Pluton. You can tell that he's testing Luffy if Luffy wants the Pluton, but Frankie trusts Luffy in a way that if Luffy wants the Pluton, they will build it for him. But I don't think Luffy will be dragged into building that kind of a weapon unless the world government has three or two weapons. Luffy will need to have one at that point, but someone will need to force Luffy to have an ancient weapon. You know, Luffy will have to be forced to have the ancient weapon. But I think characters like Frankie are not the first to exist. You know, and it's said that maybe the ancient kingdom went down because of a genuine curiosity or just someone loving creating weapons. Because even at the end of the day, a katana was used to destroy something. A katana was built to kill. You know, so each and every weapon that is built for destruction. You know, so I think characters like Frankie have fucked up a lot before. And I think Emu could have just taken advantage of characters like Frankie because Emu must know something. Even though I don't think Emu knows or is aware of what she's doing. Emu doesn't sound or look human at all. You know, so if Nika is a god, I really think that Emu is being controlled by the devil. Emu is being controlled by the devil, and then Emu might maybe the Emu vessel is not working anymore, and the devil is looking for another vessel. It might be possible that the vessel that Emu is, or the vessel Emu is breaking because if Emu comes from a timeline that Joyboy lived in, you know, let me, it might be necessary because Emu has the mother flames, but Luffy's Luffy's allies. Luffy is allies with Shirahoshi, who is Poseidon, unless the Mother Flames is not Uranus. Yeah, you know, it is necessary for Luffy to have ancient weapons, but using them is the problem. I think using ancient weapons is against the moral of Luffy and the gang because if you fire an ancient weapon, the sea levels rise. If you destroy an island, like if you wipe out an island, seas, and then that kills how many people in its way. Yo, Edso, welcome to the chat. You've been missing for a while, but the ancient weapon is it's really hard to see Luffy use the ancient weapon for any reason at all. I really find it hard seeing Luffy use the ancient weapon, especially if he understands the destruction that comes with ancient weapons. So I think ancient weapons are things that needs to be destroyed during the war. No, ancient weapons needs to be destroyed. All three of them, because at the end of the day, Shirahoshi is not an ancient weapon. Shirahoshi is a being. you know, and the ideal of putting Shirahoshi around a weapon is what's wrong with the current world of One Piece. Just because you have nuclear energy, it doesn't mean you should build a nuclear bomb. You know, use the nuclear energy for its purpose to like provide free energy because a nuclear bomb was or a nuclear weapon was created to form things like that. So at the end of the day, Shirahoshi is not an ancient weapon. At the end of the day, Shirahoshi is not Pluton. The idea of Pluton is it's an idea that someone made up and decided to pass on. But Shirahoshi at the end of the day is Shirahoshi. As much as Luffy doesn't consider himself Joyboy, Luffy is Luffy. At the end of the day, it's quite funny how things are. Just confirmed, Uranus is not the mother flame. Yes, the Uranus is not the mother flame, but it seems like the Uranus needs the mother flame to operate. Because if this is one of the two, okay, which weapons do we know of? We know that the Pluton is the ability to control all the sea kings is Poseidon. Yes, it is Poseidon, but Poseidon is just a term. You know, Poseidon is just a term at the end of the day. But what Shirahoshi can do is just even though Shirahoshi is an ancient weapon, she hasn't used her power for how long? You need to push yourself in Shirahoshi's shoes. Like Shirahoshi hasn't destroyed an island or anything. She hasn't used her powers of Poseidon. So it's really bad to call her an ancient weapon. I would understand to call her an ancient weapon maybe after the times of war or if we see Shirahoshi out of control. But what Shirahoshi is quite a darling to us. I really don't want to lie. But considering Shirahoshi an ancient weapon is blasphemy. I really don't want to lie. It's wrong to consider Shirahoshi like a ancient weapon as much as it wouldn't be fun if because of Gear 5 now we don't have Luffy, we now have Nika or Joyboy. I'm trying to think about the frame of war Joyboy lost and the war we are going to. Ooh, you know that frame. I really think that frame is important, but that's why I'm referring to Shirahoshi as Poseidon. Etsu is saying I'm still at chapter 124. Yeah, even though you're still at chapter 124, you can understand what most of the things we're speaking about. This is just a debate for anyone who's been watching One Piece because we know that the ancient kingdoms is a very important theory when it comes to One Piece. So uncovering the the past of One Piece is quite fun. It's like doing archaeology with people. So I would like it if people subscribed and commented actually. But what Shirahoshi is not a weapon. As much as Luffy is not Nika. Like the story would have been bad if we had lost Luffy and all of a sudden we have Nika or Joyboy. Like just imagine for a second if Luffy died against Kaido and then now we have Joyboy who acts differently from Luffy because I really liked the panels whereby people were saying to Luffy, "Hey, you are Joyboy," and then Luffy was like, "Who the fuck is Joyboy? I am Monkey D. Luffy, the man who is going to become king of the world." The ability is a weapon, not a character. Yes, and then because if Shirahoshi uses, I really think that Shirahoshi won't be a fighting weapon. I think Shirahoshi will use the sea beast to help people travel from one place to another because I think the sea is more dangerous than ever been before. Like I'm telling you, I I One Piece made me realize that the ocean is far more dangerous than you think. You might see the beach and be like, the ocean is nice, but go deep into the ocean, won't like it there. So I really think that now that the ancient weapon is being used again, the oceans are more dangerous and unpredictable than before. So if people need to travel safely in oceans, you will need Poseidon. Shirahoshi needs to give the order to the beasts to go and gather all people from all corners of the world because that's the fastest way people can get to the ancient kingdom. Because if the water levels will rise again, I'm telling you, the last war that happened, the water levels rised 28 meters. That's what Vegapunk said. 28 meters is insane. Seeing what 1 meter rise did. Just one, just a meter rising. It seemed almost two islands that we saw. You know, Imagine you don't know you no longer live in your house, but you live in a boat. Like I'm really surprised as how is Water 7 still floating down? Water 7 is just a mystery to me, and I'm really sad to find out that Iceberg hasn't made his dream come true. But it's fine. I think Iceberg and Vegapunk would do a good job in making the ancient kingdom float again. Do you think the Koroseis were there during the fight against Shoigon? I do because they've been alive for a long time, but who's helping Emu fight the ancient kingdom? So with Emu and the Dome River Sea, you know, it's quite hard to think that Emu has allies right now. That's why I'm saying everything that Emu is doing, dog, is whatever Emu is doing is inhuman because wanted to become king of the world. There is no reason for you to sink the world, actually. Do you understand what I'm saying? Emu should be satisfied with what he or she has. And then if Emu would have framed him or herself as an undying god, that would have been better. But Emu actually stays out of the light of the world. So Emu is a secret that even the 20 kingdoms of today don't know about. You know, as much as you know, Emu was wiped away with the 20 kingdoms, or Emu died right along with the other 20 kings, but Emu just wants to destroy the world, which sounds more like a devil and an alien figure than it sounds like a human. Because at the end of the day, Nika is not a human. Nika is a god. So if Nika is a god that comes to Earth when he or she is needed most, what if there is another god that is just a god of destruction? Ooh, having a god of destruction in One Piece would be dope. Fuck. Just thought of it, but a god of destruction. So having a god of destruction is just it makes it makes you understand why the fruit was able to get passed on to characters like Emu. But I really think that Emu is the only being that could awaken the fruit. That is why the fruit has been holding on to Emu for so long. Because even if Emu dies, we are not sure if there will be someone who will awaken the devil fruit in the future. You know. But aside from the Domi River Sea, think about the Holy Knights and the 20 Kingdoms had to help Emu because we know Emu comes from House Nirona. So that implies to me that they were level at some point. You know, what you're saying, Oratile, is true. Because I really think that the world when it or the ancient kingdom, it had everyone living in their own islands, and then as much as King Harold wanted to bring people together, I think King Harold's dream was achieved years and years ago, like centuries ago. People came together in one island and then they built one beautiful island. And then people used to travel from each and every corner of the world to come to that island to visit, to drop supplies, or to trade with that island and then go back to their homes. So, as much as Vegapunk said that the world of the ancient world, people went foreign to traveling across oceans. As much as we see that there is a train that can travel on top of water, so that train, I think it's not the first time a train like that has been built. It's really not the first time that a train that travels on water has been built. So I really think that Emu was just an evil person that existed in the ancient kingdom. You know, but even though Emu was evil, but Emu she ate because if Emu is a human, oh my god, the internet is lagging. I'm back. So if Emu was really a human, you know, she would take over the world as we know it, and then live as the king of the world. She could have been an undying emperor of the world, but to show that Emu wants to destroy the One Piece world as we know it, Emu wants to destroy the One Piece world as we know it, and I really think that Emu was just a king at some point because you can tell by the ties he has with who with Vivi, not even Vivi, but Queen Lily of the House of Neron. Emu doesn't look or sound human until you bring Joyboy and Lily, who are who like those people bring humanity to Emu. Emu might seem inhuman at some point, but when you bring Joyboy and Lily to Emu sounds human. You know, as much as when Ganku was taken over by Emu, Ganku didn't sound human, but the moment Ganku saw Brook, it wasn't even after Emu had taken over, but before Emu took over Ganku. The only thing that made Ganku sound human at that point. Who is Ganku? So Ganku is a vessel which Emu uses to go outside the world. When you remember when we had theories that Emu can't go outside, it seems like it's true. So Emu is using these Ganku girls to travel all around the world right now. That is Ganku. That is Ganku. So Ganku is just the person who serves Emu. But Emu rules the world in secret anyway. She uses the Korose as a front to make the world government seem fair. Because think about it, the Goroses are in charge of different things, but it seems like, yeah, that is true at some point. Because when I do contradict myself because Even if Imu doesn't tell the world that he or she is an undying god, at the end of the day, we do have Goroseis that are always there, and people know that the Goroseis don't know death. So the concept of death in One Piece is foreign. Thank you for the likes, Chef. Please hit the subscribe button, it help a lot. But Imu and the Goroseis, they do show themselves as undying kings, but the question is, why do you want to destroy the world? Freddy the Ghost is back on chat. Tariq. But there are really many questions that you can ask yourself when it comes to the world government and everybody as we know them. Because the Goroseis really the Goroseis are not themselves. Okay, I know that the Goroseis have retained a piece of their immunity, but what if they are literal demons? Because I think we are about to enter a different shift in the One Piece world. But the Goroseis are in charge of the world's government military power in the Marines and Holy Knights. Yes. So the God Knights, not even the God Knights, but the Goroseis are Imu's friends. And then the God Knights are Imu's soldiers or Imu's minions. So Imu has built a three-level system for he or she to move about. Because even though Saint Satan didn't feel like, because Saint Satan has his own will at the end of the day. Saint Satan has his own will, and so does each and every God Knight. They do have their own will. That's how Shanks was able to leave Marie-Joyce, maybe. But with that being said, these people are not immortal. I know that their aging process might be slowed down, but are the God Knights really devils or demons? Because if a god now exists in One Piece, so does the devil. So if the devil exists, so does demons. So will God, or will the God of One Piece, which is Nika, come with angels or one in a 2D plane? Because One Piece is just, so the existence of Imu being public knowledge. Bounce back. Yes, I'm back. So the Goroseis are the highest authority in the One Piece world. And at the end of the day, it is unfair to have the highest authority in the world. But we do understand that the world is somehow hidden of this knowledge, because the 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 Goroseis are not seen in public; they are only seen in portraits. So even though the world knows that there is this highest authority in the world, but people don't actually know of the world government exactly, or the God Knights. Like, even the Marines, it was their first time seeing the Goroseis. So the Goroseis are like Lechanyane to us. I know Oratile might relate to that, but Imu really sounds like Lechanyane from South Africa. Because this is just people worshipping pictures and all of that, which is a cultish behavior, and that cultish behavior is just kills at the end of the day. That's why I'm saying, like, is Imu's devil fruit the one controlling Imu, or does Imu have control over the devil fruit? Because if Luffy will have if Luffy's free will be obeyed by Joyboy, I don't think Imu would have had the power to stop him. As much as Imu of House Nerona was evil, but it didn't sound like Imu was an evil king, because Imu of House Nerona sounded like he was of the ordinary. Ideas that were out of the norm. I think insects, I think that ancient. I know that my internet is quite bad. My internet is quite bad today. But as soon as Emu, Ash, what can I do with this? What can I do with this? Today is not my day. Huh? Today is not my day at all. Sorry, just about internet. It's up and downs, and I've been waiting for my call from Vuma about the Wi-Fi, and nothing yet. Nothing yet. So I really think that Emu lost the fight over the devil fruit because at the end of the day, mythical devil fruits are strong. And if Emu was weak, if Emu was just a king, not a strong king, if Emu was not a conqueror or a fighter like guys like Joyboy and Luffy, I'm lagging again. Fuck, this is quite hard. But if Emu lost the fight against the devil fruit, it would explain things why Emu wants to destroy the world right now. I don't wanna lie. It would explain a lot because you saw the stream. You saw the stream on my FYP. Hey, the first man from TikTok has landed. How are you, Luffy fan? How are you? The first TikToker has come in the chat. Welcome, the bro. TikTok is working finally. But yeah, Luffy fan, we are speaking about Emu and the ancient kingdom right here. We're just speaking about the difference between the Hitonomi and the fruit that Emu ate. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't sound like Emu has full control over herself. I really think that when it comes to Emu being Emu, she lost parts of herself. I don't wanna lie. Gonna sub. Thank you for the sub, Luffy fan. I don't wanna lie. Thank you for the sub, she. Thank you for the sub. But I don't know if guys like Rob Lucci can lose against Devil Fruits, but Rob Lucci controlled his awakening or his awakened fruit. But I really think that if this fruit that guys, do you think that the conqueror's haki that Emu displays does it come from Emu or is it the devil fruit? Because I have to understand, is Emu strong herself as Emu of House Nirona or is this devil form of Emu strong? Oh, the Peace World has taken a very deep dive. I don't wanna lie. And I think Vegapunk explaining the rule of how devils or devil fruits came about, I really think that things are scary right now because if the devil fruit which Emu has ate, or the devil fruit which Emu ate, if someone imagined if someone had a wish to become the devil, power that's the same as the devil, what do you think is the One Piece? I think the One Piece is the ancient kingdom because for the world to, yeah, welcome Husoda to the chat. Welcome to Husoda to the chat. Please subscribe, guys. I think the One Piece is the ancient kingdom because at the end of the day, the One Piece world needs to be in one piece. And when I say the One Piece world, I'm not talking about the islands or because at the end of the day, I really want to see the mayor of of Luffy's island again. You know, I really want to see the mayor where we met Bug again. Like there are a lot of people. Tadan, I don't want to see Tadan get swallowed by the ocean. No ways. If we look at the mural, there are three worlds of which Nika and the descendants clashed with this evil. So I'm asking myself, did Nika, the the god, fight the devil? Yeah, dog. Because this is not the first time. It's like the the Hashirama and Madara fight. Because it sounds like these two gods are being reincarnated again and again, and the war is still ongoing. It really sounds like this is not even about Imu and Joyboy anymore. This is something way over Imu and Joyboy's control right now, because now it's more like it's a fight against fruits. It's a fight against certain wills that we are not sure of, because nothing about this is natural. Nothing about this can be considered natural. Like, would you believe me if I told you that Ganko has two egos? You know, Ganko is Ganko because she is a god knight, and then Ganko is Ganko because she is Brooke's kid. You know, the three worlds: World One, Nika; World Two, Joyboy; World Three, Luffy. Okay, so since we are there, Oratile, I think that's true. The first world was Nika, but I think even before the creation of the One Piece is just fuck. And then we pay 400 for Wi-Fi. Like, this is quite insane. Who saw that subscribed? Sorry about that, gents. Sorry about that. I don't wanna lie. This sucks. But Oratila has a point. We are back, and so Oratila has a point. Like, I think the Nikas that we know of right now, it's the first, the second, and third. Which the third Nika is the most important of them all, because I really think that Joy Boy also had allies. You know. So if maybe we can consider Blackbeard one character that was in Joy Boy's crew, or if Blackbeard was a character that existed, and because it's quite funny the fact that we have characters like Rocks, and it's Gap, who have inherited wills. You know, we know that Rocks is still alive when it comes to Blackbeard. Blackbeard is a representation of Rocks. The internet, come on. Blackbeard is the representation of Rocks Dizzyback. And then if Rocks existed in the past before, yeah, we know too. Emit the robot, and Egghead and Zunisha. Oh my fucking god. Oh my G. When you speak of those two people are the most important people to ever come into the One Piece world. Because of Emmett, we were able to see the the silhouette of Joy Boy. Much from Joy Boy in terms of his character design or things like that. But we saw Joy Boy, even if it was a silhouette. Bruh, how is Oratile this good? Oratile knows about One Piece. Oratile doesn't skip a chat. You can see Oratile is the person that doesn't skip a chat. But when it comes to those two people, do we think Nefertari Lily was also an ally of Joy Boy? Yes. More than that, I think that Lily had a love sickness for Joy Boy. Because we saw that the love sickness is a very big thing in the One Piece world. Like, it really happened whereby, yeah, Lily is really a ally of Joy Boy, because if Vivi is an ally of 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 Luffy, the current Nika, then it makes sense that Nefertari Vivi had ties. But I think Vivi knew both of them. I think Vivi knew both of them. Not even Vivi, but Lily knew both Emo of House Nerona and who is this guy? And and Joyboy. So do you think that Blackbeard will also find Princess Vivi? I'm not sure, but I would really like to see a meeting from Princess Vivi and Blackbeard because a lot of people are hyping up Blackbeard to be the final villain, but I really think that this war or this ancient war will come to an end. At the end of the day, we are going to say, so the ancient kingdom will be very much important when it comes to the final war. The ancient kingdom is the only thing that can cause the final war right now because I know that people feel like the One Piece is a story or One Piece is something like that. But what if the One Piece or what if Joy or Roger was laughing at the fact that the log pose is pointing at a different island? What if Roger was laughing at the fact that the island that they are at is not the final island, the island which they called Laugh Tale? What if Laugh Tale looks like a fragment of a bigger island? So in the current story, we know Sabo and Vivi have to meet with Luffy after what happened on Egghead. Sabo and Luffy meeting is something that we will see in the storyline, of course. But I think that the only time we will see Sabo and Luffy meeting is when Luffy needs Sabo's help at the end of the day because we saw Luffy going to help Ace. I don't know if you guys hear me. We saw the time whereby Luffy went to go and save Ace. I think it's time for the brothers or for the older brothers to go and save Luffy. After the stream, I'm gonna read more of One Piece. Don't rush Oratile because not even Oratile. So you don't need to rush because you're already on chapter 1124. You're 22 chapters away from being caught up. So I would say like take your time, dog. Take your time. Don't rush things, dog. You're not that far off. Like take your time. So when it comes to Roger and the final island, I don't think it's another story because we already have a story which is the one that we saw in Elbaf. The story that says that they met. Then I don't know what the tale of Elbaf is saying, but I think the tale that is in Elbaf is really true. I think this war is going to be different because there are too many who wants the One Piece for themselves. The Yonko, the Marines, and Holy Knights, the Revs. It's gonna be a Royal Rumble. Yes, it's going to be. It's going to be a smackdown. You know, and the only person who is not willing to fight, it's Bag. Like, believe me, you know, you need to stream on Twitch. This it's that and Twitch, Luffy fan. Twitch is not an anime based platform, but I think in YouTube is the best place to find anime streams. But already you're correct, Doc. But this is what makes Buggy the number one contender of the One Piece. Because while everyone is thinking of the fights that will take them to get the One Piece, while everyone thinks that they need to get stronger to get the One Piece, Buggy is the only pirate that thinks that, you know what, the One Piece is not about fighting and all that. We are just playing pirates at the end of the day. I'm calling it right now. Buggy is going to be a strong fight. No, Doc. I don't think Buggy will ever be able to fight, but I think that Buggy will get to the ancient kingdom first. Believe you me. And do you remember when Buggy was the only person who was doing a transponder, who had a transponder's name during the world? Because trust me, there is no one famous in the One Piece, which is Luffy, Ace. It's Luffy, it's Ace, it's and then it's Buggy. You know, I really think that Buggy might do another transponder call and then call the entire world and then be like, "Hey yo, I just found this new island. This island is very big, and you know what? I think this is the ancient kingdom. This is now my island. If you want to live under my rule, come to this ancient kingdom. I really think that Baggy is capable of pulling a feat like that. Baggy is just way too busted for this One Piece world, because people will be fighting for the One Piece, and then Baggy will just go there and steal everything that's important to get the treasure, and then out. My friend started reading One Piece 2 months ago, and he really surpassed you. Dog, that's insane. That is insane. I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie. But, but binge watching One Piece for 2 months is insane. Is insane. But I think it's easy to read One Piece, especially I started reading the manga me when we reached one. So I think the moment I entered manga was Gear 5. I couldn't wait for Gear 5. Sorry guys. I couldn't wait for Gear 5. I'm sorry. So I had to go to the spoilers, which is the manga for Gear 5. I read Gear 5 on the manga. So that's when after the Gear 5 I just went straight to Egghead Island, and then I was caught up like that. I was caught up. But I don't wanna lie, I skipped a lot of chapters in One Piece. It's not chapters but arcs, you know. Even the Gecko Moria arc, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch that arc from Gecko Moria. I think the old warlords, maybe not Boa Hancock, are still going to join Cross Guild because Mihawk is carrying Cross alone. I don't think Crocodile is that strong really. The Crocodile is that strong. Yeah. First, I was start with addressing Crocodile. At the end of the day, Crocodile has shown us that he can fight against. He's willing to fight against characters like Whitebeard. He can fight against characters like Sengoku, not even Sengoku, but Akainu. He has the will to stand against those characters. I understand that maybe Crocodile is not a conqueror's user, but when it comes to strength, Crocodile does have the strength. I don't think Crocodile entered the warlord system with the backdoor or anything like that. I think he deserved that position. But when it comes to the rest of the warlords, I think they have to join Cross Guild at the end of the day. Because even Kuzan quitted the being an admiral, but Blackbeard convinced him to join a crew. But I really don't care about the rest of the warlords besides Kuma and Dofi at this point. Forget Gekomoria. Forget Gekomoria. But Dofi and Kuma are the most important things with the warlord systems, and Jimbe, because Jimbe is a fishman. Then Hawkeye, of course, because the world's strongest man. That will be hype. Like a lot of hype is coming to One Piece. One Piece is about to break the internet again. As about because right now we are in a flashback, and then if this flashback ends, uh, I'm telling you, dog. Because what's so interesting about One Piece is that right now we are in a hype moment in the anime, and then the manga, not even yes, the anime is in the hype, and then the anime is in hype mode, and then the manga is also in hype mode. You know, no haki feats. I'm not saying Crocodile is weak as Marineford, but he beating is he beating any of Shanks's guys, Sanji or Zoro, or the Blackbeard pirates when they get buffed? I don't know. So I really think that Crocodile will come to, you know, the strength of Crocodile will be bound to the awakening of his fruits. Because at the end of the day, even though we know that Crocodile has no haki feats, Crocodile doesn't have no haki feats, but Crocodile needs to awaken his devil fruit at the end of the day. Oratile, we didn't see him fight after time skip. We didn't see him fight, but we did see him fight after time skip because Crocodile's time skip is different from Luffy's time skip. You know, Crocodile time skips happens in prison. We don't know what happened in prison in such a way that Crocodile came out buffed. Crocodile had a training session in prison because a lot of people lose their wills and impel down. You know, Souls that survive impel down, it's only the finest souls. I don't wanna lie. you know, because Mr. Tree is the only person that can stay in impel down. I'm sure even now, Mr. Tree still has his will intact in impel down. So Crocodile is really strong when you look into his character or his character development. Because at the end of the day, Crocodile was a character that was ignorant, and so I know, but he is supposed to be a top guy in Cross Guild, and we know the rest of them are weak. But Buggy wants the One Piece, and Mihawk is the only one at the Yonko level. Yeah, actually, true, dog. This is quite bothersome, but knowing the fact that the Buggy pirates thrive in chaos, you know, the Buggy pirates are weak, but they are strong when it comes to comedy. And we know that Luffy is one of the strongest characters in One Piece right now because of his comedic abilities, his comic abilities. Because Kaido himself said it that is this a comic strip or something? So even the Buggy Pirates, they are straight out of the comic strips. But there are certain things that are important to protect, even for the Buggy Pirates. You need to protect your ship. At the end of the day, one thing that Buggy is not strong enough to protect is the ship. Buggy is not strong to protect the ship. Buggy is not strong enough to protect the flag, which is the Cross Guild flag right now. So if anyone were to destroy the ship or the flag, they are disrespecting Mihawk or Crocodile. Of course, Mihawk will step up and Mihawk will feel like, don't you feel my presence? I know that Buggy is weak. I know that Buggy is a troll, but Mihawk won't take the disrespect from the One Piece world. So at the end of the day, it will look like Mihawk is taking orders from Buggy. You understand? There was a time where Trafalgar Law moved the scabbards from the rooftop in one, and then Luffy or Law was about to move the scabbards off Wano from the rooftop, and then Luffy gave him an order. And then Kid saw it like, oh, Trafalgar, you are now taking orders from Luffy. Congratulations, Luffy. You have found yourself a new member. So I don't think Crocodile and Mihawk will follow Buggy's orders with their own will. It will be something they have to do. Because even if Buggy wants an ancient weapon, Crocodile will go for an ancient weapon. So if Buggy tells his crew, or if Buggy, because Buggy is a man of gestures at the end of the day, Buggy is a man to come in and shout in front of everyone that I'm going to fetch the weapon that is an ancient weapon in one, and then everyone will know what Buggy will do. Only for him not to do it, but Mihawk. So I really think that even though Crocodile and Mihawk won't follow Buggy's orders, but they will end up doing what Buggy needs the most. Because Buggy doesn't want to fight against Shanks. I know that the last thing Buggy wants to hear is that he is weaker than Shanks. I swear Buggy will kill you for that. You know. So the thing that but Doflamingo and the Don Quixote family, Edward, Weevil, Trafalgar Law, and his crew, all of a sudden they are cooking. Mm, yeah, dog. you know, like each and every one of these characters, especially Weevil, you know, because Weevil, when we saw him, he was just a king he was a useless king. But seeing what he saw now, he was like, they will kill me for this. The world government will kill me for this. And then he abandoned his royalty at that point, you know. We've never seen Weevil like act as a warlord, as a king after that. You know, Weevil just called Morgan, and then he saved Vivi, you know. So a lot of things came out of Weevil now than we expected in the past. And then Doflamingo, Edward Weevil is Blackbeard's son. Oh, I thought we were talking about that guy who has a big chin, the one who saw emus through. Weevil is Whitebeard's son. You know, the biggest thing about Whitebeard's son, he is not Whitebeard's son. You know, Weevil is the son of, who is this? Stussy. You know, at the end of the day, Weevil is the son of Stussy, but Weevil is at the end of the day Whitebeard. He is a de facto Whitebeard. Weevil is a clone of Whitebeard. So at the end of the day, he is not Whitebeard's son because he is the exact replication of Whitebeard's genes, maybe mixed with Buckingham's Stussy. We don't know. You know, but when it comes to Doflamingo, guys, okay, Trafalgar Law first. Trafalgar Law is just, can you really say that after we saw Prime Stussy and she loved Whitebeard? Yes, I really think that Whitebeard didn't get a chance to have or mate with. Hey, but we don't know. We really don't know. But if Whitebeard had a son, I really think that Whitebeard would have treated his son better than each and anyone. You know. So I really think that Whitebeard didn't give heck or shit about Clariosa at the end of the day. Not even Clariosa, but Stussy at the end of the day. But Trafalgar Law, the first person we have to talk about is Trafalgar Law. Trafalgar Law has the biggest duty out of everyone else because Trafalgar Law has to make sure that Nika lives forever. You know, if the devil had a immortality surgery, the god or God needs one too. I'm reading One Piece while hearing the stream at the same time. That must be very much confusing, but that's dope. You know, Law is the one that needs to make sure that Luffy becomes immortal. Because I'm telling you, if the world government or if someone takes Imu down, you know, and then at the end of the story Luffy dies, it was all for nothing. I don't wanna lie. If at the end of the day, if at the end of the day Luffy dies, then it just Imu will just capture the world again. Because it seems like it is simple for a devil fruit, but what happened between Joyboy and Eve? What the fuck? Because even between the fight, you know, how did Emu awaken the devil fruit? How did Emu awaken the devil fruit? Because everything is wrong right now because of the devil fruit, you know. But when you look at Don Quixote do Flamingo, Don Quixote do Flamingo, guys, I think he is jealous down the most important character in One Piece. Because even Don Quixote Moscard, you know, when I saw that Moscard is a Don Quixote, nah, not really. Law and Luffy's alliance ended in one. Law and Kid were contenders but got humbled by Blackbeard and Shanks. Cross Guild offers Law a way back into the race for the One Piece alongside Mihawk. The thing is, Law and Luffy are brothers. Stuff. You know, at the end of the day, these guys don't just share the D initial, but Law and Luffy genuinely have a connection. Crocodile and maybe other warlords. Yeah, Crocodile and maybe other warlords. will be fine and cross-skilled, but not Law. I think Law is, at the end of the day, it's not Law's generation, that one. So it wouldn't make sense for Law to stay around people who are not from his generation. You know. So at the end of the day, I think Law will come to the Straw Hats because Law is a D at the end of the day. You know, and we know that each and every D needs a home because being a D is lonely. So Law will need the Straw Hats again. Why didn't they continue together after one of them? If they are so close, it's because they are idiots. I will tell you, the only reason why Luffy, Law, and Trafalgar didn't sail together, it's because they were idiots. I'm telling you, these guys were even fighting for sailing on the same day. Now it has to be cross guild. You know, I think the cross guild, cross guild was shown in the Roger, when Roger got killed, not even killed, but during it's not an assassination, but everyone that was shown in the Roger flashback when Roger died in his hometown, those are the people who I think will enter cross guild or sacrifice themselves for cross guild. Because you have to understand that even if these people don't join Buggy, but if they can help Buggy in a way, that will be good enough because not everyone who was supposed to be on the journey with Roger joined Roger at the end of the day. It's because Law is his own captain and wants the One Piece. I think it's all set up for cross guilds to get these guys. Okay, I do understand the irony of cross guild having like key captains and people who have big ambitions and dreams. But at the end of the day, Trafalgar Law is a straw hat. I think you saw that too. At the end of the day, Trafalgar had so many moments that he showed us that he's more of a straw hat than a captain of his crew. Maybe even Katakuri, you never know. I think Katakuri will come to Luffy. I think the Big Mom pirates will drop the Big Mom flag and then they will fly the straw hat flag again. Oh yeah, I forgot about Katakuri. Katakuri is one of the greatest things at the end of the day. Because don't forget that Katakuri wanted Luffy to come back and defeat Big Mom at the end of the day. Katakuri wanted Luffy to come back to the island. So yeah, Katakuri went with Brule and Luffy to what is the island? But if you remember in One Piece Raid, Katakuri worked with Shanks. Oh my god. Katakuri worked with Shanks in One Piece Raid. So who is this Brule, the one who has Mira Mira? Yo, is that the kids in your basement? Yeah, I do have slaves too. I'm kidding, guys. Nah, it's the kids outside. They're just enjoying their freedom. But I don't have kids in my in my basement. Yeah. I don't have slaves like the government knows, but it's just the kids in my hood. So yeah, dog. So I really think that Law and Trafalgar will come back with Luffy because at the end of the day, the people who are mostly the strongest allies that Luffy has is Law and Trafalgar. Dog. We are going to see the boys again because how it ended, it wasn't good with me. I didn't want it to end like that because the first time that the boys separated it was Ennis Lobby or something like this. It was Ennis Lobby, if I'm not mistaken. But after Rayleigh and the boys dealt with the Celestial Dragons and the Marines outside, those boys vowed to have a rival, you know. So we do know that at the end of the day, you can have a rivalry under the same banner, you know. Scopa Kapan and Rayleigh are rivals. You know, Zoro and Sanji are rivals at the end of the day. Even useless mid kid is alive. Where can they go? Cross guild, because power scale wise, cross guild needs to be relevant in the final arc. You know, as hype as it will be for you know what is happening to Luffy and Trafalgar. Do you remember when Luffy, Ace, and Sabo had a pirates that had had drifted away to their island? You know, that pirate had his ship destroyed by Gold Roger, and he got separated from his crew because he faced Gold Roger. You know, and then Luffy was the one who inspired that old man to like, you know what, old man, even though your crew is separated, even though you might seem like you don't have a will, you know, but believe in your crewmates that they are out there, you know. It's like Beppo, you know. This is not the last time we will see the pirates under the pen of Trafalgar. Now, if anything, the crew that is led by Trafalgar is strong because remember the last words that Beppo said to Law, you know. Beppo was like, Chief, relax. Because Law was worried that I can't leave my crewmates behind and escape. But Beppo understood that with the importance of Law's fruit, they needed to get away from Blackbeard, you know. So Beppo told Law that, relax, boss. You know, believe in your crew. These guys will band together and then they will meet again. I'm sorry, Freddy, but it doesn't make sense for Law to join the Straw Hats over Cross Guild. Even Yamato Momonosuke are still gonna come join Luffy. No, you know, because when you look at Momonosuke, if Momonosuke knows how to read poneglyphs, Momonosuke needs to go with Bagi, you know. And like Oden wanted to go with this will be a funny twist, but Oden wanted to go with Whitebeard, you know, and Whitebeard didn't want to take Oden with, you know. But what if Bagi wants to take Momonosuke with, and then Momonosuke doesn't want to go with Bagi? Instead, Momonosuke is waiting for Luffy, and then Momonosuke is forced to join the Cross Guild because at the end of the day, Bagi's connections to Roger, they will come to pay at the end of the day. You know, I really think that Momonosuke will be the one who reads the road poneglyphs for the Cross Guild. But they are, even if Momo doesn't come, Yamato and her scabbards are still coming. I think Yamato and the scabbards will come to the final war. They will come to the final war because at the end of the day, when it comes to Kaido's bloodline, I think they are the best when it comes to war and fighting. So I think Yamato will be hidden from the story, and his or her development will just be shown in the cover art, you know. But I think the Wano pirates or Wano will come in hot at the time of the war. So the only time where Yamato will move, I think it will be the final war. Because unlike Oden did before, you know, Yamato is a different Oden than Oden. I don't know if you understand me. Yamato wanted to be a pirate with the Straw Hats, and then Luffy wanted Yamato to come along. But Yamato was like, you know what? It won't be nice for me to go on a trip if Wano is not safe. But and at the end of the day, it makes sense, you know. Like there is no reason for Yamato to become a pirate because she has ridden the tail on. Yamato knows everything. You know, the only thing that Yamato doesn't know about is the final page of the journal. But when it comes to important things about the last third of Roche's trip, because when I mean the important things, I mean the trip became more important when Oden hopped in. You know, so anything in that Oden journal, Yamato knows it already. So Yamato going to become a pirate, it will be like it's a reputation. You know, it's like Usopp showing us that his dreams were not dreams, but he was seeing the world from his father's view. You know, Usopp wasn't lying, but these visions that he was saying, it was his connection between him and his father. So Yamato will just go there as samurais because it's not only Elbaf that is important to take down Wano. We know from the paintings and Elbaf that Wano is important too in taking down the world government. So Yamato will be the leader of Wano at that time. And then Momonosuke, the crybaby. I really think that Momonosuke and Bagi will give us the best comedy. So we know from the mural that Wano samurais were involved maybe in the first and the second world. So how is anyone going to take Momonosuke, who is Luffy's ally? But and Luffy is an emperor. So this will be just you know this will be a Roger and this will be a Roger moment, because I think that even though Shanks is living under Momo is the shogun of Wano, he's the leader of the samurai. You know, even though we might stick to those type of foundations, but the samurais can't go back to the point of needing a leader anymore. The samurais need to take care of themselves, even though Yamato is not there, because the scabbards will be there to take care of Wano. But at the end of the day, okay, if Bagi at Wano doesn't leave with Momonosuke, Oden's father is coming with Cross Guild. At the end of the day, whoever that can read Poneglyphs and Wano, they are going with Cross Guild. Because this will be courtesy of Roger to Bagi. Like I've been saying, like Dog Kun and who is Cat Viper. I don't know if you remember Cat Viper. Yamato is going to take Oden's journey, and she'll be there when we find the One Piece. I think Yamato taking Oden's journey is useless, but I think Yamato might travel the new world. When I say the new world, I mean the world after the One Piece is found, because I think a lot of changes will happen in the world and adventures will be different then, because I think that Luffy will get immortal because the world will change, and when the world changes, Luffy won't get bored to go around the world 2 more times or 3 more times, So Luffy will have something to do. But Yamato moving right now or Yamato becoming a pirate right now, it doesn't make sense. There's no flipping reason why Cross Guild would kidnap Momonosuke without risking fighting Luffy before Life's Tale or the final war. Bruh, do you remember that Buggy and Momonosuke were in the same ship? You know? Like, is it Dogstorm and Cat Viper? Cat Viper and Dogstorm remember Buggy's scent no matter what. And they remember a peculiar figure as Buggy. Like, you cannot forget about Buggy. You can't forget Buggy. So, Cat Viper and the dog gun of the Minks and the Scabbards, they really, really know Buggy. Imagine if Blackbeard is the son of Rocks. Imagine it. So don't even say imagine. It happened already. Blackbeard is the son of Rocks. You will find out soon. You will find out. Don't worry. But I'm telling you, like each and everything that will happen right now to Baggy, it will shock even Mihawk and Crocodile. What? Nah, yeah, dog. Blackbeard is the son of Sibek. I don't know how, where, or where they will get someone who can read poneglyphs, but Oda will do something for them. Momo and Yamato are joining Luffy. Anything other than that is nonsense. Yes, that's the type of nonsense I'm telling you about. You know the funny nonsense in One Piece, because I am sure that the baggy pirates will enter Wano with the hype of being like, we will terrorize the land of Wano. You know, I think the energy that Baggy will go with at Wano will be like, you know what? Now I'm the emperor of the sea, and I can do anything I like. Baggy will go there with that kind of mentality. Baggy will go there with force against Wano, and then when Momonosuke finds out that Buggy is the same guy that he sailed the oceans with, because I am sure that Momonosuke won't be able to know who Buggy is, but Cat Viper and Dogstorm, they know about Buggy, dog. They know about Buggy, and are they willing to help Buggy reach the One Piece? Yes, yes, dog. Yeah, boo, yeah, boo, yeah, boo. And you know that Buggy and Luffy, they are very good at asking people who are weird to join their crews. You know, we know that right now Odin's father is weird with the mask because he doesn't want the people of Wano to know that he is alive. It breaks the narratives and the foreshadowing of Wano completely. Besides, Buggy is a figurehead for Mihawk and Crocodile. It's a wild theory, I'll give you that, but it is not happening. You know, Mihawk and Crocodile are just thinking that Buggy is a figurehead. But Oratili Dog, you will forget how close Buggy is to the One Piece if you don't take it close. Because if Momonosuke can call Zunisha anytime, if Momonosuke is gonna call Zunisha anytime to bring the Poneglyph for the Cross Guild, then Cross Guild doesn't need to go and find Zunisha. Hey yo, Sleeps, it's been a while. Gonna go do something. Don't worry, Etso, get busy, Chi. Get busy. I see you doing One Piece. Nice. Yeah, Sleeps, we're doing One Piece, Chi. We are doing One Piece. It's been a while. And you, Sleeps, you go around giving people profile pics, and I haven't gotten one. What the fuck? How you doing, my boys? We're fine. We're fine. Just 8 likes. Damn. Yeah, dog. That's insane. The only decision Buggy made of relevance is saying he wants the One Piece. And you know what? Oda is going to give him. Oda is going to give Buggy the One Piece in a silver platter. You feel me? Like Oda is going to give Buggy the One Piece because as much as Buggy mentioned that he won't be fighting for the One Piece, no, Buggy won't be using normal measures to get the One Piece, dog. Who is Sleeps? Sleeps is the member of the community. So Sleeps meet Luffy Fan. Luffy Fan is quite new to the gang. Luffy Fan has just joined the band. I'm Sleeps. Yo, Sleeps is very famous because if I'm not mistaken, Sleeps is Aisho Speed's cameraman, right? Sleeps is the name of Aisho Speed's cameraman. So Sleeps, you have quite a famous name. I don't wanna lie. But Oratirete, I'm telling you, Buggy is not going to have a hard time finding the One Piece. If Mihawk wanted to be lazy in this journey with Buggy, he will get as lazy as you can get. I will see, Chi. I'm telling you, Chi. I am telling you because you know I think that Buggy, Buggy and Shanks, they are benefiting a lot from Aisho Speed's cameraman. Yeah, that Slaves. But Buggy and Shanks, they have a lot to reap from Roger's seeds. And knowing that Shanks is not the type of guy to go around in fact, let me say that Shanks is not the guy to go around and find One Piece in easier measures. No. Shanks is the type of guy to go the hard route in finding the One Piece. Yo, Freddy, saw chapter 314 of Blue Lock. Yeah, dog. Chapter 14 of Blue Lock was short. Apparently, the author of Blue Lock is having medical problems. And fuck, that's difficult. I don't know that. I really don't know that. But today we're just doing One Piece. But we'll do Blue Lock predictions really soon. Don't worry, Steps. Don't you worry. But Oratile G, Buggy is going to have serious favors But Buggy is going to get serious fevers around the world, dog. He had some issue, dog. It's quite sad. It's quite sad. But Buggy is going to become one of the greatest characters at the end of One Piece. Because if we truly think that you need strength to take or to get the One Piece, it doesn't make sense. And don't forget that Buggy can meet Shanks, and then they can have maybe a friendly fight between Cross King and the redhead pirates. But Shanks will give Buggy the road Cliffs. I'm sure Shanks will give Buggy each and everything that he has because at the end of the day, he wants to go to Laugh with Buggy. At the end of the day, Shanks wants Buggy to go to Laugh too because they made a promise to their captain that they will both make it to Laugh with their own ships. I know that Buggy won't. Your face reminds me of Lewis Hamilton. No ways. No ways. No ways. Ain't no fucking way. Bruh, think about this. It's every man for themselves. The Red Hair Pirates, Blackbeard Pirates, Straw Hats, Cross Guild, the Marines and the Holy Knights, Swords, Kobe and Aokiji's group. Bruh, each and everyone is different there. I do understand where you're going with this one, Steve. It's everyone for themselves. But if Shanks is not going to use Roger's legacy, trust me, Buggy will. Man, episode One Piece is so long. I'm on episode 50. All fighting for the One Piece. Yeah, all the groups are fighting for the One Piece. Got to watch One Piece after the exams. Dog, the best thing you can do is you can just watch videos on the internet. Just if you wanna know about One Piece, just use YouTube. YouTube can show you the most important parts in One Piece because even Oda himself mentioned that you don't need to go through each and every episode of One Piece. You don't need to do that. But Oradila Dog, I really see Buggy going to one. Because Buggy is just one of a kind. That's what I did for Blue Lock. Yeah, you need to just watch the YouTube. YouTube is very good at keeping you up. You can skip anything with YouTube. But even you saw in Marineford the luxury that Buggy had. In Marineford, Whitebeard recognized Buggy. Okay, I understand that Buggy and Whitebeard, not even Buggy, but Roger and Whitebeard clashed so long. Don't drop yourself off the experience, my guy. One Piece is too peak just to watch videos on YouTube. Nah, dog, I'm saying this because I know that he won't just end up watching videos on YouTube. At the end of the day, he will get motivated to watch One Piece. Because me too, I was a Naruto simp. No one could tell me that One Piece is greater than Naruto, and I would take that lying. Nah. In my world, Naruto was the best anime to ever exist. I still think it is, but people convinced me to watch One Piece, and then when I saw the funny scenes in YouTube, you know, the funny scenes in YouTube are the ones that made me go deep into One Piece. And then once you're into One Piece, you can't get out. 100 episodes in of One Piece, I think you're already cooked. You will watch One Piece at the end of the day. You will watch One Piece at the end of the day. But we had to get a chapter this week, but there is a magazine break. And besides the magazine break, there is a 2 week break on 2 weeks break on Blue Lock. So it's a break this week and a 2 weeks break on Blue Lock. So we don't know if Blue Lock will come out soon, but I really think that the author of Blue Lock needs to take enough rest because That guy has been giving us chapters consistently. And then the weekly magazine break, I don't understand how social media goes to break, or how does a media company go to break. I don't understand that at all. It doesn't make sense to me how that happens. You know, media spaces don't take breaks. They don't do breaks. So I'm shocked that this is still affecting us. I don't know why. But Eiichiro Oda is taking his time too with writing the One Piece. I don't know that. I don't know that. But let me check if the spoilers for One Piece are out. Let me check the spoilers for One Piece are out. But I might do a prologue review. Is it too late for me to do prologue today? I'm not sure. Yeah, the prologue chapter is out in English. The English translations are out, but I don't think the One Piece spoilers have made it out yet. No, they haven't. So there are predictions that Luffy's mom is the former Kuja pirate, which is quite something. I don't know. It is quite something. Luffy's mom is the greatest mystery in One Piece, but seeing Loki's mom, I don't want to see any moms anymore in One Piece. So you guys, One Piece is great again, and we really talked a lot today, as he should. It's our job to survive until the end of One Piece. Yeah, dog. Like Oda really deserves to take his time right now. I wouldn't be surprised even if Oda just said, you know what, I'm done with One Piece. I'm done with One Piece. But the whole world will turn upside down that day. I'm telling you. Dog, did you hear the fact that is the Indonesian people are using the straw hat flag as a sign of rebellion against their government? You know, like an actual island in Indonesia, or Indonesia is using the straw hat flag as a sign of a rebellion to the government. Freddy, have you started Kakurabachi yet? I'm gonna ask every day until you start. Then I have to talk. How many chapters is it? Because I'm on chapter 54 right now of Kaiju number 8. I can't wait, you guys. I don't wanna lie. I can't wait. But let me go to Kagubarachi. But I guess it's a Kagubarachi is so famous, dog. Yo. This anime is going to be a problem. Kagurabachi. Kagurabachi. This sounds cold. It looks cold. It sounds cold. It looks cold. I don't wanna lie. So we are on chapter 89. I will read it. Don't worry. Which chapter are you on? I'm on chapter 89 right now. Feel the story is cooking with gas right now, mate. Dog, you are caught up. You are caught up on. Oh my G. And I did create a Discord. Dog, at the end of the day. I created a Discord, but I'm still going to finish it up. But I do have a Discord account right now. So I'll have to share it with you guys so that we can have more discussions on the on the Discord. Look up some panels from Google Garage right now. You will see what I'm talking about. So which panels am I going for? Chapter 89, or am I going for the first chapter? Let's go for the spoilers. But this anime has hype too. It has serious hype. What's your favorite thing about the anime Kugarabachi? Kugarabachi. That's a very difficult name to Oh dog. Like these new gen animes are really tough, you know. Kaiju number 8, Water Magician, and now this. But they're really putting in some work. Rain without clouds, evildoers are doomed. Hail in summers, hail in summer, evildoers will perish. Thunder without black clouds, the sounds of evildoers meeting their demise. What the fuck? Kugarabachi. No, it's the first 3 panels and I'm shaken already. Dog. Listen to this. Rains without clouds, evildoers are doomed. Hail and summer, evildoers will perish. Oh my god. Thunder without black clouds, the sounds of evildoers meeting their demise. What? Oh, all of these sayings about the weather resulted from one ferocious youth's hair rising feet. At the at the time of the war, he was 20 years old. In his 20s, he was hailed far and wide as a swordsman on par with samurai. 3 years prior, at the time of Kunishinge Rokuhira's assassination, Misaka was ambushed at home. The assassin came alone at the end of the duel. The hero Misaka was left dead. Damn, it's the same armored assassin who ambushed Rokuhira, Rokuhira's home. But this is some kind of sorcery controlled puppet. The real assassin is out. No, search Samura and Chihiro. Samura versus Chihiro. Dog, I'm already hooked. I'm very. I'm. I am already hooked, dog. What the fuck? I am already hooked for sure. Let's end Chihiro. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, okay, okay. Normal order from. Okay, I understand why you love this. As a Zoro fan, you have to love Kugu Rabachi. As a swordsman fan, you will love this anime. You are forced to be in love with this manga. Am I lying already? What sorcery is this? Is this a jumping I'm seeing? Is this some sort of jumping? Oh, hey, nah, dog. I might start the manga right today. I don't wanna lie. I might actually start reading it now. What? Like, already you are forced. Listen, there is only the beginning. This is only the beginning of the story. Yeah, dog. You know, the most insane thing is that it hasn't gotten even animated yet. Not even episode 1 has been animated. I'm not sure if that, but you really said that it's a manga only for now. The fact that the animation hasn't been done yet and then it's already a big hit like this. But the panels look tough though. The aura, like everything here was done carefully. You can tell, dog. Like this was a lot of effort is put in this manga. Oh my god. Ah. As of chapter 8, it is still in the first portion of the story. We haven't even got a time skip yet. Not even a time skip. I need to know this name. I need to call it uh effortless. Kagurabachi. 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 Oh dog. This is so fine, dog. And the detail in the drawings, dog. It's dope. It's really dope. So who is your favorite swordsman in this story? Let's hear it already. Who is your favorite swordsman? Is it the boy? Who is it? Is it Samura? Is Samura your favorite swordsman? The story is too fire as well. Yeah, the story is fire. You can tell. Like you can tell that. But which one do you think will lead this new gen anime between Sakamoto Days, Kagu Rabachi, and Kaiju number 8? Because I really have Kaiju number 8 as the number one of any new gen anime. Kaiju number 8 over Attack on Titan anytime, any day. But yeah, already thank you very much, Doc. Ngiyabonga ukuthi ubekhona streaming Chuck. As of now, Rahul Chuck, like the audience is getting bigger and bigger, boy. You know, it's like South African TikTok is different, and I am trying to reach into the anime TikTok audience in South Africa. But today we got someone from the FYP, which is Luffy fan. So Gazamega saying but I even heard Luffy fan said we should try out Twitch. But I think we should wait for now on Twitch. Where are you currently on One Piece? Welcome, Sadish. On One Piece, I'm currently on chapter 1156. And I'm waiting for the next chapter too. Like, I really enjoyed the latest chapter of One Piece. But where are you on the One Piece? Where is you on the One Piece? Because I don't want to lie. One Piece is. I think we should even consider One Piece a new gen anime now. Because One Piece are same thing, waiting for the new chapter. So, do you have any predictions about the new chapter? Do you think we are going to see Zoro versus the Giants, or are we still going to see the flashback? When Kagu Rabachi gets an anime, it's taking over, no questions. I'm not happy with Sakamoto Days right now as the manga. Oh, it's with Sakamoto Days right now in the manga. And I'm not happy with Kaiju number 8 manga ending. So Kaiju number 8's manga has ended. Fuck. Yeah, but I saw ADP talking about the ending of Kaiju number 8. Like it's really hard to find animes like One Piece, because the reason why I enjoy One Piece so much is that I know that the ending is really, really far. The end is really far, so it's really boring to watch an anime that's already reached conclusion, dog. It's really hard. So knowing that Kaiju number 8 is out, it will be really hard to enjoy it the way I am. I would love to see Zoro and Sanji teaming up against God Knights and converted giants. Dog, really, really, I would like to see Sanji and Zoro teaming up because a team up is really coming from Sanji and Zoro. A team up is coming. 180 chapter total for Kaiju. I can see over 200 for Kagu Ramachi. It has to be, we really need animes or mangas that will go 400 chapters, 600, 700. Because for God's sake, even Naruto had about 700 chapters or more, in fact. But Zoro and Sanji will team up because Sanji right now doesn't have a. I can see similar length to JJK. The JJK length is quite sad. I really don't want to lie. You know, when I started Jujutsu Kaisen, I was like, nah, this anime sucks. You know, I'm a old generation anime kind of guy. Yeah, bro, Kagubarachi is late. Even Sadish is agreeing. I'm forced to watch Kagubarachi right now. I am forced to go and catch up. As of today, I need to wake up tomorrow, waiting for the next chapter too. I would like to do chapter spoilers of Kagubarachi because it seems like you guys are enjoying it. I want to be there in the conversation too. I want to be there in the conversation too. Like, I think the swordsmen have been taken to the next step because the swordsmen in Sakamoto days or the old men, it's cooking with gas. Oh, the taste that Kagubarachi is getting is uncalled for, dogs. Why? Why are you doing this to us? Why? Like, really, why? You know, I want to wake up one day with the news of Kagurabachi getting anime adaptation. Do you want it to be under toy animation or another form of? Because Solo Leveling and Jujutsu Kaisen did well, even though they were not with toy animation, or they were. I'm not sure, but I think toy animation needs to get more animators now, especially from Disney. We need more animators from Disney and all these other movies that we've seen, especially from Swordsman and things like that. But an anime adaptation for Kagurabachi is coming, and I think it will be soon. I think it will be soon. We will get the announcement maybe this year or next year. Late this year will start or next year because the hype is real, dog. The hype is real. And one thing we love is samurai. You know, fact, it has to be MAPA. The way it's drawn, it's a MAPA project through and through. Oh, it's a MAPA project. Yeah, dog. Like there are different types of animes coming from different types of cultures nowadays. You know? We even have animes from South Korea that are dominating. You know, it's not only Japan these days. Even China is now coming to dominate. So anime is being taken to the next step. I don't know. There's even a guy from South Africa who's busy creating his own manga. We do have a South African manga, so yeah. I don't think Toei will go with Kago Rabachi, but if it will, then hands down. Like I really don't wanna lie because I think Toei animation has one of the best stuffs when it comes to animation. If it's Netflix, I'm gonna crash out, dog. Netflix has been one of the worst at all. Bro, the keyhole fight panel. Look at what they did to Sakamoto Days. But I really don't wanna lie. Sakamoto Days is dope. I don't wanna lie. The animation for Sakamoto Days is really cool because what it has shown us so far, it's dope. I don't wanna lie. You know, it is dope because Shin and Sakamoto and the girl, they have insane animation, dog, and it's simple and clean. Because one thing that's making anime more and more boring is the aura that they give characters in anime. Not every anime needs to have like crows and all that. Nah, if you don't deserve the aura, you don't need it. Not following up with Sakamoto manga, Samurai vs. Chicho fight was too gas. Now I'm being left out. Now the chat is leaving me out of this conversation. Let me start with chapter one of Kagurabachi right now. Wanted to see where the part two is taking. You know what? I'm doing this right now. Kagurabachi. I am doing episode or season one, not even season one, the first chapter. But you guys, have you really ever thought of the difficulty it takes of creating a new anime right now? Because creating a new anime seems very, very hard. This looks like something from South Korea. I don't know if we can show. But is this anime from South Korea? It's hard, dog. No cap. Yeah, it's hard to create new animes because you need to find a power system. It's either you use a mana or it's either you use mana. You know, like I think it is really, really hard to create new animes. And that is why Vinland Saga will always be quoted because it just took the Viking side and made it into anime. That's why the Kyoul moment I'm waiting to see the top tiers get in action. Shiba Azami. It's too much. Ugh. Nah. I'm starting it. I'm starting the chapter, the manga too. It's the mappa. Bro, you should read Kagubarachi, the latest. It's 89 and it's super lit. Yeah, Oratile doesn't want me to spoil myself. Oratile doesn't like spoilers, it seems. Okay, let's get to it. Look at that, Chiro. The sun's all bright today. Yeah, it's sunny. Yo, sun, you trying to tell us something to play? No ways! Like this is the first panel and the comedy is already there. Listen to this guy. Yo, son, you trying to tell us to play outside? How can the son tell you to go play outside, G? That's so insane. Yeesh, what's up with him today? My dad's name is Kunishige Hogushi. He's the most famous swordsmith in the land. He makes special katana with his own unique method. I train rigorously with him every day. Okay, right now Dad's in serious mode. So this guy is only serious when he creates katanas only. That's quite a quirk. It's way different from his usual belief. Uh-huh. True. Yeah, Dad. Break, breakfast ready. Oh, thanks. You were listening to your pet fish just right. I can't, guys. I can't continue watching Kagubarachi. I'm had enough. Fuck, I've had enough of Kagurabachi already. Nah, dog. I've had enough. Like, how is this old man speaking to his pet fish? You know, how is he speaking to his pet fish? Like, how is the son telling this guy to go play outside? An old man like him. Nah, update us when you get past chapter 20 before Rakuzuchi after the first arc. I will. You will know why. You will know why. You know what? Thank you very much, guys, for popping up in this stream today. You know, it's been a very long time, and thank you guys for sharing this wine, for sharing this with me. Freddie, I will be there, Freddie. You will be there. Trust you. But thank you very much, you guys, for being here, and thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. I know we are growing slowly but surely, and today we chilled together for quite some time. So if you are just an anime fan, please subscribe because we are growing as anime fans. W streams, yeah, W chat, W chat, W chat. So please subscribe, guys, because we are growing as an anime community, and different types of thoughts on animes and debates are fun when you actually have a community. A debate is not fun when you talk to your friend who is not interested in anime at all. Like, I'm tired of talking about anime with people who don't care about anime. You know, I hope to see you again if you go live. Yeah, I will be live again soon. Don't worry, I will be live, and I'm telling you, when I come back live, it will be the Kagurabachi review, guys. I will be doing a Kagurabachi review. Start after stream. Yeah, I will, dog. I promise you. When it comes to that, I will be with. Like, we will be talking on the same level when it comes to Kagurabachi next time. So thank you very much for your attention, you guys. If you're an anime fan, please subscribe to join the stream later on. But W chat, W Oratile, W Sadish, and welcome to the chat. We welcome you, brother. We welcome you, brother. We were waiting for new members for quite some time now. We were waiting. Orewa Freddy Live, and thank you very much for the support. What the fuck? Um, yeah, it seems like there it is. I guess you should read it live so we can see your reaction. Okay, you know what? I will read it live until chapter 19. No, not even live, but I will read the anime chapter, anime of Kagubarachi, mapa of Kagubarachi from 1 to 19 on the side, and then from chapter 20 I will do the live reaction. From chapter 20 I will do a live reaction. Don't worry. Thank you for the recommendation. I will try that. So you guys, I will meet with you on the next stream. Thank you for the support. Subscribe. W chat, W Oratile, W Salish. Thank you, gents. Thank you.